Backwards compatibility has been the topic of much debate within the Nintendo community for the past couple of years, ever since we really started talking about the next Nintendo console. Well, over the past 24 hours, we actually got a couple of rumors that sprouted up regarding backwards compatibility, regarding potential enhancements that these games might have if you play them on a Switch 2. So today I wanted to talk about all of that and more. Of course, if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch news, speculations, discussions, theories, all of that stuff, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing. We are just about to hit 25,000 subscribers. Let's get into it. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. Still feeling sick. If I sound a little off, that is why. I apologize if I'm a little bit more nasally than usual. But today I wanted to talk about backwards compatibility on the Nintendo Switch 2 because we have had a couple of rumors pop up over the past 24 hours indicating that yes, the Switch 2 will have backwards compatibility, which, to be honest, that's not that surprising, right? It's nice to have soft confirmation, even though you take all these things with a grain of salt. We don't know until Nintendo says it themselves, but it's nice to start hearing these kinds of things because what if, right? What if Nintendo just does some Nintendo BS where somehow the next console isn't backwards compatible? That would be horrible. But really, ever since Furukawa said a couple of years ago that their plan is to carry Nintendo accounts forward into their next integrated hardware, to me, it was always kind of obvious that it would have some form of backwards compatibility. Now, I know there had been people talking about, what if it's only for digital games? But based on this reporting, at least, once again, grain of salt with this rumor and stuff, based on this, it sounds like it will have both physical and digital backwards compatibility. So I'm reading this from universo.nintendo.com. They took something from a Brazilian podcast for the Pokemon franchise. So I'll have this link down below if you want to read it for yourself. I am going through Google Translate to read it though. Awaited as a potential 2024 release by Nintendo, the next system could come with the encouraging news that it will feature this physical and digital backward compatibility, not only available to players and producers, but would also allow developers to study improvements for the current titles in the Nintendo Switch library. This information was shared by PH Brazil during the most recent episode of the podcast for the Pokemon franchise, as traditionally happens every year. So that's kind of the thing that started all of this. But then Nate the Hater, Nate Drake on a Reset Era, who is a pretty prominent leaker, they've done a lot of leaking for direct dates. They've most recently said that the upcoming Nintendo Direct would be a partner showcase, so we'll have to see if that ends up being true in just a couple of days here. But over on Reset Era, Nate Drake confirmed that this is true, or at the very least, this is what they've heard from their sources. They said, back compat is present to partners and testing is underway. The major unknown seems to be the extent any such enhancements may provide. So I wanted to use this as a jumping off point to talk about the idea of backwards compatibility on Nintendo Switch 2 and what it can mean for past games getting enhancements. That's, I think, the really interesting part. It's exciting that this thing will most likely be backwards compatible, but I don't think it's that surprising. Exciting, yes, and I'm very happy that that seems to be the case and the way things are going here, but I don't really think anybody was expecting it to not be backwards compatible realistically. What's more interesting to me is the idea of Switch 1 games getting enhancements, because I've seen this sentiment around a lot for the past year, that Nintendo will naturally do what PlayStation and Xbox did with the PS4 Pro and the Series X, or sorry, the One X back then. Xbox names are crazy, by the way. And basically just have games run better inherently because they're running on better hardware. Of course, developers had to make PS4 Pro specific patches to, unlock frame rates and all that, but there was an inherent boost to how those games ran on that hardware. The thing is, we've never seen Nintendo do anything like this. I believe with the Wii and Wii U, there was some inherent boost to resolution playing on that because you're using an HDMI cable. But, DS to 3DS, there wasn't a benefit to playing your DS games on a 3DS because, realistically, what could they really do there? So it's kind of uncharted territory when it comes to a Nintendo piece of hardware, having backwards compatibility and potentially having enhancements. I think this would be great. Obviously, this would be so pro-consumer, and I really hope this happens, especially for third parties. I really hope that, we could see third parties going back and, maybe something like Borderlands 3 gets a patch on Switch, or Mortal Kombat 1, which just released very recently, or even something like Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I know doesn't run that well on Switch, something like Astral Chain. That would be really exciting to see from third parties, and I think a lot of those developers would actually choose to go back and do that. I think Atlas might release a little patch for Shin Megami Tensei 5, barring a potential re-release or something, right? However, what I really want to focus on is Nintendo first party, because there seems to be this idea idea, and I don't want to be too pessimistic here, but there seems to be this idea that Nintendo is going to offer free patches. Like they're going to give you a 60 FPS Tears of the Kingdom patch, a 60 FPS Breath of the Wild patch, and all these different things for all these games. Xenoblade Chronicles is going to get a boost. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is going to get a free boost. I don't think that's going to happen. At least not in the case of like they have to actually go back and patch it to make it run better. If there's like an inherent boost just from the game running on the hardware, like with a lot of PS4 Pro games, then sure, that will probably happen, and that will probably be true. Like if there is a Switch game and the frame rate was uncapped, yeah, it'll probably just run inherently better on Switch 2, right? But in terms of like Monolith Soft going back and patching Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or 3, I'm gonna be honest, I think you're out of your mind if you think that's gonna happen. We have seen time and time again that if Nintendo has the chance to sell a game again, they will sell you the game again. So while I don't even think they're going to do this for that many games, I think it is way likelier that they would repackage certain Switch games and sell them again. Maybe they offer an upgrade path. Like, that's, I think, best case scenario. But, Breath of the Wild, they can sell a complete edition. They never did that on the Switch, at least not in America. They did like a DLC on cartridge version in Japan that was priced more than retail, but we never got that in America. They could totally sell that again for $60, Breath of the Wild with the Champions Ballad DLC, with the Trial of the Sword, and that is a Switch 2, box art, and it's just Breath of the Wild Ultimate Edition, and they sell that again as a new release. I don't think that that's that unlikely, especially when you look at how Sony's been operating, where most of the PS5's games have been PS4 games. You can already play PS4 games on your PS5, but they're selling you the same games again. Like I said, I don't think Nintendo's going to do it for that many games, but for both the Zelda games on Switch, I totally think they will. I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, especially Tears of the Kingdom, Master Mode is really weird that that's not in there. Maybe they were saving it to bundle with the potential Switch 2 version. So both of those, I think, are total locks to happen, at least eventually, maybe not in the first year. Something else that I've thought about recently is the potential of a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Definitive Edition, where they fix up some of the problems that game has. I think that's actually really possible, especially since we already got Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition. I think Xenoblade 2 Definitive with Torna included, like, that totally makes sense. I think it'll be on a very choosy basis where they, like I said, it's not going to be that many games. Like, I don't think Mario Wonder is going to get a Switch 2 patch. I don't think that game really needs it. They might re-release it on Switch 2, I guess, like with new box art, just so it's on store shelves and more relevant to a Switch 2 buyer. But I don't really see this world where Nintendo goes back and starts patching a bunch of their games to run better. I would really like it, once again, I don't want to be too pessimistic here, but that just feels a little too ideal. Like that feels like a fanboy dream, like, oh, Nintendo's going to go back and patch all of these games to run even better. I don't know. It's just like I said, I feel like Nintendo, when they can get away with selling you something again, they will do that at every corner. So the idea that they're going to give us free patches for Tears of the Kingdom and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which, I mean, that game, they certainly should be giving a free patch for, considering it was broken. I feel like they would just sell it again, or like I said, maybe best case scenario, offer an upgrade path for like $10 that gives you a 60 FPS patch for Tears of the Kingdom and Master Mode, right? Which would definitely sit wrong with some people, but I don't know. I just feel like analyzing the company and how they normally work, that is what would happen. But I would love to be proven wrong. I really hope they do just give out these free patches for their first party games. But, like, are we going to go back to, like, Star Allies? Star Allies going to get a patch? I mentioned Astral Chain. I think that might be a little bit more likely because it's Platinum, and Platinum might be more willing to make that push. I mean, they were updating the Wonderful 101 Remastered for years. So, I mean, maybe something like that could happen. But, like, is Age of Calamity going to go... Are they going to go back and patch that? Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes? I guess, those are Koei Tecmo, so maybe that's a little bit likelier. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope we do get a lot of enhanced backwards compatibility from first-party Nintendo games, but in terms of, like, an actual patching basis, I don't think that's very likely. Like I said, that inherent boost that comes with the console being more powerful, like that inherently will make the games run a little bit better, hopefully, but in terms of patches, I don't really think so. But like I said, in terms of third parties, I mean, this would be great, if they have the ability to go back, like I mentioned, for Shin Megami Tensei 5, or even like Persona on Switch, like, there are definitely things they can do to get these games running better. But then again, at the same time, and I know this is like very anti-consumer, but if WB thinks they can get away with selling Mortal Kombat 1 Ultimate Edition in a year with all the DLC on Switch 2 with an actually good port, do you think, like, I feel like they could get away with it? I don't know, maybe I'm just so used to publishers being really scummy, but I feel like this idea that we're just going to get all these patches just feels a little too optimistic. But once again, I would love to be wrong. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think we could actually see a scenario where Nintendo itself goes back and patches first-party games to make them run better and look better on Switch 2, and even third parties? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I would love to get a conversation going. As a whole, the idea that the Switch 2 will have backwards compatibility, to me, that's a no-brainer, especially after what Furukawa said, like I mentioned, about the Nintendo account. So to me, that's not very surprising, and it's nice to see some rumors starting to like kind of back that up, and hopefully we'll know in the near future. We are still expecting some sort of Nintendo Direct this week. Like I mentioned, the rumors currently are that it's going to be a partner showcase. I hope that's not true, but it seems that's the way the wind's blowing, so we'll see what ends up happening. And then if that's true, right, and I'll do a video on this when and if that day comes, if it is a partner showcase, at that point, I'm going to wave my flag, and I'll make a video talking about that, because if that's the case, and I feel like that all but will confirm a March reveal for the Switch 2, because it's the same insiders that are saying partner showcase that are saying Switch 2 in March. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Of course, if you are not subscribed already, I really would appreciate if you do so. If you enjoy Nintendo Switch news, speculations, discussions, all of that stuff, like I said at the top of the video. Of course, follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames and join the Discord that is linked down below. And until next time, folks, peace.